we got that EP out. We played one show, and that was about it. So that was a short-lived project. I'd say it's comparable to something like Egg Hunt. Ian MacKay's
Yeah.
thing he did.
A lot of people really love your other projects outside of Operation Ivy. You had Big Rig, Classics of Love, of course, Common Rider. Can I have a brief history of those bands, and are there thoughts of any new recordings or shows, tours with any of that?
Okay, so Big Rig was a band that was a project. I think it was like 92 or something. Some friends of mine, Doug Sangalang, a couple other guys, great people. I love all those guys to this day. They had this band that they were doing, and Doug, who's my friend, invited me to come down and just check it out. And I was like, oh, I could see doing something like this. The thing is, it wasn't exactly the type of music that I was used to. It wasn't exactly something that I really 100% vibed with. I mean,
Okay.
I loved it, but it's just not the type of music I would necessarily write. A lot more octave chords, a lot more influenced by sort of a DC sound.
Okay.
At least that's the way I interpret it. I think Doug was also listening to a lot of like Pitchfork and stuff like that, but it might have been before Pitchfork. I'm not sure, but anyway, so I was like, yeah, we could do a project, and we ended up doing a short-lived thing. I think some of the people in the band were expecting me to, do more of a full-time band thing. And I still, to this day, I feel bad about that because I didn't mean to kind of, start something and then jump out of it. But we got that EP out. We played one show, and that was about it. So that was a short-lived project. I'd say it's comparable to something like Egg Hunt, Ian MacKay's thing he did. So then...
I didn't realize it was that short-lived. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the whole thing lasted about 6 months or so.
Oh, okay.
So then there was, Common Rider. I went away for a while, mostly for lifestyle reasons that we talked about earlier. And then I came back, I moved to Florida for a while. And then I sort of came back and I was like, well, actually this started when I was in Florida, but basically I ended up doing this thing with Mass Giorgini from Squirt Gun and many other bands. He's produced 1,000 records. He's known for the studio called Sonic Iguana in Lafayette, Indiana.
Okay.
Dan Lumley plays drums on a lot of those projects that Mass did and has done a lot of other stuff. They used to play with Screeching Weasel.
Okay.
Anyway, so I collaborated with them. We teamed up. We made a record. Then we did some shows. Then it went to sleep for a while. Then because I was living in California, Then I went out. We did another record. And again, we did some shows. We did a tour, the Plea for Peace tour, which was a tour that was put on by Asian Man and Hopeless Records.
Oh, I used to see advertisements for that stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because we were sort of doing this sort of chilled out reggae punk thing, and we were playing with like Poison the Well and International Noise Conspiracy.
That's a big difference.
And it was really in sort of the emo years, And
yeah.
So we were a fish out of water, but it actually worked out. We had a lot of great shows. All those bands are cool. We played with Thursday a lot. Super cool guys.
They're good dudes.
Yeah, they're really nice guys. So it was all good. But again, we were living in different places. So, and I don't think at that time I really wanted to move somewhere and be in a band for whatever reason. But so that was a kind of intermittent thing. But we got some stuff done, and then that kind of reached its termination point. Then I was in a band called Classics of Love. Classics of Love started out, it was me and these guys from a band called the Hard Girls. Great band from San Jose. I've just described them as kind of indie punk. They're really into things like the Mountain Goats, and they, I think some of it sounds a little jawbreakerish, but definitely that vibe. Smart punk by people who wear sweaters. I'm not saying them specifically, but like that,
no,
that genre.
That's a style for sure.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But they're a great band. Anyway, but I connected with them, incredible musicians, And we started out trying to do something that sounded sort of like later 80s DC sound, like second wave hardcore, or beginnings of what they now call post-hardcore or whatever. You know, like Rites of Spring, that type, type of vibe. But the stuff that really landed was stuff that just sounded more like kind of straight up 80s melodic punk hardcore. So that's what it ended up being. And the first record is more reflective of that more post-punk sound. And then the second record, the first record was an EP called Walking in Shadows. The second record is a self-titled LP.
Okay.
I'm so bad about my own music, I had to think for a second. Did that one have a title? But I'm pretty sure it's self-titled. Anyway, so yeah, and that we played some shows. We did a tour in the UK. I think we played a total of about 50 shows or something. I'm not really sure, but and then at a certain point, I moved from the Bay Area to LA to go to school. And again, that really just felt naturally like, okay, this is the correct duration for this band. You know, we don't have to flog it. These guys have their own thing. I'm going to be going to school. So that came to an end. But that was a really fun band, and I love those guys, and I still talk to them. Yeah. So, and then there was also, this is going to be sort of for the nerds. The whole spiel is kind of like a Discogs paragraph, but. Then also I did a project that was just pure, again, 80s melodic hardcore type stuff. Hardcore in the sense of bands like Minor Threat and stuff like that, or Youth Brigade, more than hardcore in the newer sense of bands like Knocked Loose or Hatebreed, right? So, I did another thing. It was like a COVID EP, and I didn't have a name, so I talked to the guys, you know, from the original Classics of Love, and they kind of gave me their blessing to use that name. Okay. But it was really a completely different thing. But it was very much in the same vibe.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Is that something that is available digitally anywhere?
Yeah, we did an EP. It's called World of Burning Hate. A little bit on the nose, I know, but that's what I was feeling at the moment. And that's out there. It's on Bandcamp. You know, Asian Man did a nice release of it. I don't know if that's still available, but it's easy to hear.
That's all. I just want to hear it. That's awesome. It's nice to be able to find an organic conclusion to a project for whatever reason. You know. Yeah. Things have a lifespan typically.
Yeah. That's one of the good things if you're not making money.
Right. You're like, well,
you're not tied to it. You know what I mean? I forget who it was. Someone said, whatever you do, if you start a band, don't plan on it being your income. Not because it's unreliable, which it is, but because once it's your income, then you have to say yes to everything, you know, or everything that's strategic. Yeah. So one of the good things about kind of being out of that loop is that you can really trust your intuition. Right. Not worry about that. So.
Hey, what's up? I just wanted to say thank you for watching my video. I appreciate everyone coming and hanging out. If you'd like to support what I'm doing a little further, I have a record label with a lot of big things happening. There's a link to my Bandcamp in the description. I own a small record store. There's a link to my Discogs in the description as well. And finally, there is a Patreon link in the description. None of these are mandatory, of course. I just wanted to let you know they exist. And, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll answer them as fast as I can.